Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At Home Dad Network. My name is Brock,
My name is Danny.
and we are here to talk about life as stay at home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. No worry about my weight, got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet, cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Hey, Danny, we made it back on to another episode. I feel like I literally just crawled in here, hands and knees, completely out of energy for the day, but I made it on, man. I'm here. How are you doing?
You did it. You did it. And I'm so proud of you. You've been working so hard, and I am so proud of you. I am really proud of you, actually, because you have been working pretty darn hard getting everything together. And
Yeah, well, I've been just working out in the pool, man. So I've been trying to get it put together.
Just in case, if she hears it, I want to tell your wife, Corey, thank you. We appreciate everything that you're doing, and then we know that it's wrecking you in some ways. And the convention coming up in less than 60 days.
Less than that, yeah, like almost 40
yeah.
days. It's crazy.
Yeah, let's go. I'm ready.
But hey, for everybody else, welcome to Home Dad Chat. You know, we definitely appreciate everybody that comes on, and tonight tonight's episode is going to be a lot of fun. We've got two guests, don't we, Danny?
We do. Yeah. And we have stepped out of our normal areas of looking for guests, I think, because we hit upon a web series called Turf Valley. And it's basically a show about dads. Now, it is a web series. So what you get is like little quick episodes, 7-8 minutes or something like that. So you could watch them all pretty easily, but was perfect for me because one, attention span, but two, I'm doing laundry here. I'm getting cooking. I'm doing I just fired up in the background. We're good. We just watch it real quick. But a web series about dads. And these dads do happen to be at-home dads, which is awesome. And so we've been talking to them basically about what their show is, where it's going to go, what they want to do with it, and some exciting news, I think, about maybe they're getting who knows, a comedy series. I mean, 30-minute Hulu shows and stuff like that. So they
definitely be exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. And they got the chops too. Award winners. One dude made a movie. I can't wait to talk to him. I'm excited.
Sounds like a good conversation. So yeah, we'll bring Tom and Adam on here in just a moment. So check out this commercial and we'll be right back. Become a member of the National At Home Dad Network, an organization focused on providing advocacy, community, education, and support. Connecting with households where dad is the primary caregiver of the children. We do this through our webinar and podcast series, mental health support groups, regular online social events, as well as our annual convention. The National At Home Dad Network is a 100% volunteer organization. Without the generous support of its members and the community around it, we would not be able to continue the work that we do. Becoming a member gives you access to past convention speaker presentations, the ability to vote for board members annually, and ensures that the organization's fees and bills are in positive standing. Oh yeah, it should not go unmentioned that there is some cool swag headed your way if you decide to become a member. For only $35 a year, your membership provides you with the exclusive content only we can generate, and you'll be supporting an organization that benefits families all around the country and world. By advocating for them, offering them community, providing education and guidance, and supporting them to grow in their parenthood journey. And one last thing, if you contribute $500 or more, you will become a lifetime member. Not only will you receive everything already mentioned, but also a certificate recognizing your status and an exclusive National At Home Dad Network challenge coin with our trademark logo, Dads Don't Babysit. So, what are you waiting for? Become a member today. Hey everybody, welcome back to Home Dad Chat. Like we said, we've got two guests on tonight with us, and we're really excited to talk to them. These are the gentlemen who are the mastermind behind Turf Valley, a web series that is on YouTube and on their website, Turf Valley. And we'll have all the information for folks in the description of the show so that you can find it and get a chance to watch it. But Adam, Tom, welcome to the show. How are you guys doing?
Oh, very happy to be here.
Yeah, excellent. Really glad to be here.
Awesome. And so your guys' show, kind of, we've sort of all crossed paths on what your guys' show is about, what the National At Home Dad Network does, and things like that. Danny and I both, I believe, have watched all of the episodes from the first season, and so we've
Thank
kind of
you.
gotten an idea of what's going on with things, and we were just excited to be able to get this opportunity to talk to you about the show. Just to kind of kick things off a little bit, help our listeners get to know you guys a little bit. So, Adam, tell us a little bit about your family.
Right. Well, I live in Maryland with my wife and 2 boys. They're 15 and 8. I also have an older daughter who's out of college. And it's funny, I was sort of an at-home dad when she was really small, before I even had the language to express what that was. I sort of marvel at how far you guys have taken the community. But we live in Ellicott City, Maryland. But I've only been back for a few years. I lived most of my life out of state in Los Angeles, where I worked as a screenwriter and directed some films. And so it's really nice to sort of come back to my home state as a grown-up. I never really lived in Maryland,
Nice.
as anything other than a kid. So feel grateful to be back.
Nice, very well. And Thomas, tell us a little bit about your family.
Yeah, so let's see. I'm married 12 years. I've got 3 children, an 11-year-old daughter, an 8-year-old son, and a 5-year-old son. And tonight, the big issue was Roblox. In particular, the middle child was looking at something that was a little inappropriate, a little too intense. And the younger male, who's really into Roblox as well, was frantic with what he had seen. It was like cocaine. He was like, I saw this thing. And I'm like, yeah, but dudes, I got to go on a podcast.
Yeah, right. You could just hold that for just like 45 minutes. I'll be right back. Yeah.
I know there's a whole group of listeners right now are like, yep, I feel your pain, man.
Let's see. I'm a teacher. My wife is in a very big boy job, and she's very busy. And I would say that so often I get home, I'm picking up the kids, I'm dropping off the kids. It's gotten. I mean, I think the fact that we made a web series, that somehow in there we made a web series. I mean, I think betrays a little bit the time and the creativity that we actually have, despite the fact that we have all these duties. I mean, I remember when we were making the series, it was like, all right, daddy's gone 7 days. I will see you. And it was the same for Adam, except for Adam, we were actually in his house.
Oh yeah. Okay. You guys can't come to the basement. Basement's off limits. We're shooting something.
Exactly.
Well, we had to put his kid in it. That's
So Tom, you said you're a teacher?
Yeah. Also.
Okay. What grade do you teach?
High school. I teach.
See, you were saying your wife has a big boy job. That's a big boy job right there, my man.
Yeah, but the thing, okay, that's good. That's a really good point. But I would say just in terms of the level of she's home. She's home for last 2 years of COVID, but very much like 7 a.m. at the desk. I'll see you later, and just on all the time. Where I just I just not my lifestyle. I never really was interested in a lifestyle like that. And
Same.
I think that's Danny and I's wives. Same way.
I sense that from Danny.
My wife is like type A. I mean, and I was like a workaholic for a long time until I had kids, and I was like, this is not the person that I actually am. I'm just a stay-at-home dad, and I'm really much better. Yeah. You just, once you get through those things, and like growing up, I was told, and I reveled in get up at 5 a.m. Is the sun up? Well, you missed an hour. You need to get out there and get working. You do work all day long. And I was telling one of my kids, my oldest is 16, and this is summer, and he can sleep whenever and wherever he wants. I'm not pushing him. I'm not making anybody get up at any time. I get up when the sun comes up, but that's just how I am. But getting my kid, I told him, I said, look, this is not the way life will be. This is summer. Enjoy this. You're going to school in a couple of weeks or a month. Yeah, right. You don't know how good you have it right now, because I'm paying, we are paying for your food, your clothing, everything you could possibly want. We're taking care of that. But you're going to get out there and you're going to have to get up every day. You're going to have to go to bed at a reasonable hour. You can't stay up until 3:00, and it's really, actually, well, I'm very proud of him, because every day since, and it's been 5 days running, which, hey, it's a streak. I'll take it. He's been up by 8, and he doesn't have to, but he knows that we're going, you got like 3 weeks, you'll be back in school. You got to get back on that. I will wake you up then. I will throw a water balloon at you. You're going to get up and get out.
Yeah. Like the question in our house, that my wife is a high school teacher. And so, like, how long will that on-ramp be? Like, she knows, like, got to report for duty in a week or so, but she's been staying up late. She's like, no, I'll just like, experience that painful, 40-foot on-ramp.
That's future me's problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
And I'm kind of like, there's a scene in the show where the guys are like, one of the characters says something like, we're in the sweet, this is actually right now, we're in the sweet spot between baseball and soccer.
Yeah.
And this is literally that moment where the character is Jason. And, and he's probably the character that's a little bit more the devil on your shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Every single, every day is a character, something like that. And we're in this sweet spot right now. I'm like, man, you don't know, this is gonna get intense, baby.
Right? You don't know what's coming, but it's coming. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So you guys are the creators of Turf Valley, which is a real place. That was the thing. Like, I was like, is this like an actual like neighborhood? Like, did you guys make it up or whatever? And it's an actual place, because we've been talking about all kinds of things with just, the area and, just building this relationship with you guys in Turf Valley over the past few weeks. But so you're in this neighborhood. How did all that come about, like, to decide to create the web series? Because I mean, we just all of a sudden one day, just two guys standing on a corner and decided to, like, go at it, or how did this all come about?
Yeah. So both Tom and I were sort of on our paths, and without knowing it, we sort of put it together. But Tom will tell sort of his journey. But for me, as I mentioned, I was living in LA, and for all the LA dads out there, you know what I'm talking about, like dropping your kid off at school. There's no grace in it. It's like landing like F-18s on an aircraft carrier. Everybody drops your child off.
Doors open, go.
Yeah, exactly. With the afterburners come on, and you try to get your child as close to the curb in your automobile as you can. And so exactly. So like my whole, with my daughter, and to some degree my older son, that was my life, with dropping my kids off. But when I got back here, to Ellicott City, which is like the suburb of DC, the bus stop was literally right outside my door, literally, like
that's
I'm
nice.
pointing at it.
That's nice.
And I was charmed by the fact that I could like just walk across the street and drop the kids off. So when we dropped the kids off, and then the bus would pick them up, and then all the dads would be like hanging back, and the subtext was always like, please don't leave, please, we would love to talk. We can't come out and say it directly, but like, I'm really hoping you'll hang around.
Give me a reason to not have to go back in the house and fold laundry.
Exactly.
Just say anything. I don't care. We'll talk, whatever. Just say something and let me stay here.
Yeah. And so my neighborhood is Turf Valley. And so I'm, when Tom and I went to have a beer, we met. Tom introduced himself, sent me an email, and I recognized himself as a fellow lunatic. And so and sort of pitched him this idea. And then I told him where I lived, and Tom, I remember you just like, you like laughed out loud that there was a place called Turf Valley, because it's such an odd,
Actually, yeah. And the crazy part is that I don't live very far. Like I live in Baltimore, so it's, I live just over the city line. So and I teach at a city school, so I'm very city oriented. But Ellicott City, is this like very sort of like, well, a very established city, old city in Maryland. But this area, Turf Valley, I never heard of it before. It was just where Adam lived. And then I'm just like, it doesn't mean anything, right? Like it was like McDonald's, right? It was like that scene in The Founders where the guy's like, McDonald's, you could fill it up with anything. It could be anything you want it to be.
Yeah.
And, that's when I was just like, let's just call it Turf Valley. I mean, the only problem I thought we might have was, that the residents were going to like, lose it.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a little bit of a piece to that where like, well, and I think that began the journey. I think the thing about the show, I think that one of the values of the show is that, I don't think we're trying to make judgments. I don't think we're trying to judge these people or anything, or even the place. I think that there's a fundamental humanity anywhere, and that there's no place, even if it's like, you've never heard of it, it's got an HOA and so forth. And, but I think it's human. It's very human.
I think anybody who lives in an HOA neighborhood, if like, seriously, like, okay, one, I don't live in an HOA neighborhood, but I have heard many stories from other dads in the community who do. And honestly, like everything that Meredith acts, says, and does is like spot on to like
totally what you would imagine, right?
It is exactly. And so everybody, if you haven't seen the series yet, if you don't know who Meredith is, go watch it.
Yeah.
No, she is actually the director, I guess, the president of the HOA.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
She drives a golf cart, just to give you a mental
right.
picture.
Rolls up and like,
Rolls up,
I'm going to fix this, this. Whoa, there's not even a problem here. Oh, I'm going to make it a problem, and I'm going to make you fix it. Wait, I'm
she's got
in here.
My favorite. She says, she paved the grass beneath your feet. She did you that favor.
Yep. Now you were talking a minute ago about the concern about how the community would react, and a little bit about where we find judgment and stuff, and where it would be a problem, where it's not. So for me, if you say this is about stay-at-home dads, I'm going to be your worst critic. I'm just going to cut you, because you're coming into my home. You're coming into my life, and when you're an at-home parent, this is your life. You don't get anything else for like years, and then someday supposedly they leave. I don't know. I guess that I'm sure my kids will leave someday, but the reality of it is, it's like your biggest passion, because you're really like the old adage is like touching someone's eyeball. When you talk about at-home dads, whoa, hey, what are we doing? How are we going to present this? And I've mentioned this before, but I want to say it on the podcast. I really never found that like the first half of Mr. Mom, or all of the dads that just screw up everything kind of mentality that we have seen in TV and movies for decades, I guess. And I really liked that aspect of it, where we go in, and the guys are, one's a little goofy, one's a little uptight, one's a little maybe paranoid, but they're not like, because you're a dad, you're a goofy idiot.
Yeah, that's so. I love that you.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Picked up on that, because it meant we had a lot of conversations, very direct conversations about that, and I think it was over that first story meeting we had. We said we want these guys to be really outstanding fathers, and that doesn't take away from the humor at all. But that was our reality. These were things that we did, and we cared a great deal. And like men need a mission, and we are very proud of that mission.
Totally right. That's right.
And so it's heartening that. Through that was very deliberate, and I don't think it's too easy. Again, the like you said, the goofy dad, screwing something up comedy, that we've seen that a zillion times, but to try to make a show where, the dads really are the heroes, but we're still laughing a lot. That was
Mhm.
sort of our goal.
Well,
Yeah.
I will say the one thing that made probably me laugh the first time was Howard coming on screen and introducing himself as to who he was. And immediately my thought was, all right, this is a guy who is in complete denial of what is actually changing in his
Mhm.
life. And there are so many dads that we see come into the stay-at-home dad community who they're like, yeah, so here's like what's going on. And like my wife is on, you know, maternity leave for a certain amount of time, and so I'm home with her and we're trying to figure this whole thing out, so I thought I would join the group or whatever. And we're just like, dude, like just
Yeah. Just go ahead and own
rip
it.
the band-aid
own it.
off, just rip
Yeah.
the
Go
band-aid
ahead and
off,
own
man,
it.
and just
Yeah.
you're here, like trust me, like she's gonna go back to work and you're gonna be here and it's gonna be okay because
It's gonna be okay.
we're right here with you, kind of deal.
Right.
We love that. We love that character too, because to get to visualize that, like he's wearing a suit, like he
Oh,
still
yeah.
has to
Yeah,
dress
that's right.
up,
All
to
the time.
to
All the
convince
time.
himself that he's still like
He's on indefinite paternity leave forever.
Yeah, exactly.
He's pushing a stroller throughout almost every episode and in
Yeah.
a suit, and it's just glorious because because so much of what we do in our lives as men comes down to paycheck. You talk to most men and the first question they're going to ask you, oh, okay, what do you do for a living?
Check.
Because it's really the only place where most men can meet, and we all understand we're the provider, we're the work hard, we do all the things, we bring in all the money, and we base our value on how much money we bring in, and it's a huge turnaround to be able to say, I'm not bringing in any money. I haven't brought in more than $500 in the last 12 years.
Right.
Total, not even just per year, but total.
Right.
And so the reality of it is, okay, where's my value? What am I doing here? Why am I doing this thing? And I will say, Howard actually said it when they were talking about being a sad. I don't remember which episode it is. I'm sure you guys can find it, but I wrote it down so I forget. But he's like, I'm not a sad, but I know how you feel.
Yeah.
You're lost and purposeless, just watching your own children, and you're overeducated and underutilized. And
Wait, now was that the judge? You said before, you're like, you came into my house.
Yeah, right.
And you said,
right.
So what is that line to you?
Well, because it
That's
is
spot
the
on.
reality. Yes, it is the reality of the job. I love this job. I couldn't do anything better. I'm not saying that I'm great at it, but I couldn't enjoy anything more than this. But the day-to-day reality of it is I am overeducated and I'm definitely underpaid.
Yeah, there's lots of
So-
dads like that. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like,
It hit
we've-
the nail right on the head.
there's dads that have been a part of the National At-Home Dad Network and still are, who are rocket scientists or who are just
Mhm.
like big, like the scientists in general, or they've done other things that are unbelievable. Like, one guy in particular that I think of, I'm not going to say his name because I don't need Elon Musk coming at me, but there's one guy who he was a stay-at-home dad for a little while, and then he was looking for work, and he ended up getting hired to basically be a part of Elon Musk's team that like launches rockets.
Mhm.
But
Absolutely.
at any time, like if he had to come back to it, like he'd be right back in stay-at-home dad mode.
Yeah.
And I know this talking to him, like there's some days where he wishes that he was a stay-at-home dad because he works crazy hours. But we've got other dads who like come to Home Dad Con, you get to talking to them, you're like, yeah, what did you do before you were stay-at-home dad? And they tell you something that just makes your eyes pop out of your head. You're like,
right. What?
Like,
I have never met anybody that does that. It's
Yeah.
a rocket scientist, literally.
I sometimes think though, however, that, these characters are actually, at some point, I don't know, like, because, you make a show and you think about what you made, and like, it's always like revealing things to you, right? Like, so you don't really know what you're making when you're making it because
Mhm.
you're just, harnessing it or something. And
Right.
so at one point, I was like, oh my goodness, like all these characters are basically the different moments. Like, yeah, like one day I wake up and I'm like, today we are going to do all the things in dad, like in life, you're going to do your soccer practice, you're going to do this, I've got the gadgets, so like Howard is this extreme version of dadding,
Yeah.
where he's going to take it, he's like a stoic, right? Like he's hyper stoic. He's,
Mhm.
he's gear oriented.
Yeah.
And I think that, that's just that moment we all like that, like at some point.
Yeah. Is
Mhm.
that a car battery in your stroller? And I'm like, it is not. It is. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Danny, I
That was
love
great.
that you're quoting lines. That's,
Yeah, man,
that's
it's such an honor, dude.
That's sweet. Yeah, that's great.
Well,
So-
you know, I will say the thing that Howard said earlier, I wrote that down because it was too many words for me to remember at one time.
Oh yeah.
But the rest of it, I'm definitely, that's all natural. That's because it was very familiar in a lot of ways, but also was things that I definitely could have said, you know, and in some way, all three of these dads, like you said, have been me at some point in my stages of becoming who I am now, you know, where I was super uptight for a long time, or I was very paranoid for a long time, or I was just barely making it, you know, just like, I don't know, the kids are fed. The house smells like spoiled milk, but I'm okay. I look like I got attacked by a flock of birds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
it's so
going
funny
in.
too. And you know, thank God for like you know, for mentors in this realm. You know, like we talked a little bit about that when we all met, about the Charles Mann character. He's sort of the dad that's really got it together, has that experience, that wisdom, and he sort of sits up on the hill and can smile at these guys and help bring them along a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
And,
How did you get 3-time Super Bowl champion Charles Mann to get on this show? Like, how did that happen?
well, the genesis of it was, this was, again, so many of these stories are, you know, happened on some level, and then we sort of put them into the show. And one of the reasons we're excited to be on your show is to hopefully hear, you know, from some dads eventually out there across the country, you know, for ideas. You know, that's how we get our inspiration. But anyway, this happened on the corner right out there. I was hanging out with a couple of dads, and there was this guy up the street, like probably 6'5", like super athletic, you know, like punching away at a cell phone, and like we were speculating, how does he even get a message through, because his, you know, hands are so big.
We have a friend like that fits into that realm. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody does, right? And he's super handsome, and a couple of moms were chit-chatting with him, and he, you know, we were speculating maybe he, you know, it's a little bit of a trope, but maybe he, you know, maybe he was an athlete in high school or
played a little ball.
college.
You
He played a little ball. He played some ball. Look at him. You know, he probably played ball.
Of course he played some ball.
He plays some ball, you know.
Look at those hands. Those hands would go around a football.
Yeah.
That's right.
Exactly. So we decided this would be a pretty funny episode. So we thought, oh, what if we got that would be the joke, right? We got a real professional athlete to play that character. So these, you know, these guys are in the corner speculating, you know, and the audience knows it's a real Super Bowl champion, but they're like kind of clueless about it. So we got a bunch of submissions from some former NFL players, but Charles was like, I mean, all he did in the audition tape, I swear to God, was he stood at his mailbox in Virginia and like drank some water and opened the mailbox and looked in the mail. And Cham and I were just sort of mesmerized by it.
Yeah.
You're like,
He's not acting. He just is.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. And so like we called him up, and he's a lovely guy. And so we cast him right away, and he was so good in the pilot. We wanted to bring him onto the producing team. We put him in a bunch of episodes. And but I think what happened, and Tom can speak to this well, is this whole notion of like understanding as a father, as a man, you know, you may not be able to throw the Duke. Your hands might not be big enough for that.
Yep.
But, you know, sometimes the junior, you can still throw the junior. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a metaphor for something. And
like gesture, it's like gesture, you know, and then, so I mean, I think that's another thing. Like, you know, the guys, you know, they're dads, but they're also like, they don't talk like normal people. I mean, they are a little bit, their language is a little heightened, you know, they're like, everything's emblematic. And, you know, Charles Mann, but the truth is that, you know, the thing is you make a connection with a guy like Charles Mann, and you know what you find out is like, that guy, you know, he's gone through football, he's raised his family, he's got, you know, he's still an active dad. You know, he's just a man of just tremendous character. And so you're just like, you're back to the same game, right? Which is like, you know, thinking about your role in life, and, you know, who you want to be, what you want to do. And you know, it's just like, it's all, you know, it was a great honor to make the show.
That's a really good point, Tom. He often would tell us, he's like, most of the world knows me for the 11 or 12 years I did this one thing. Right. He's like, but that was 35 years ago. I've had a whole life since then. And so you guys are bringing up the question of, again, as identity and fatherhood and how that changes. And I think now, I'm much more willing to accept that changes in my life. It's okay that you're this for a while and this for a while, and you do this for a while, as opposed to my dad's generation, where he went to work, he worked at this company, and the expectation was you would stay there for 30 or 40 years. And then if that stops, well, what does that mean about who I am and my value? So I think, I think all these things are sort of, again, it's primarily comedy, but these things are underneath. And I think that gives it a kind of a nice feel.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, like, I know, the things that we did, as men before we had kids, that kind of thing. And then things happen and our kids are like, oh, like they're looking at somebody or idolizing somebody or whatever it is. And you're like, well, actually, like, I did something. Like, for instance, I know, like, I remember the first time, like, my kid came back and was like, we learned about, like, the military and, like, why veterans are important and all this stuff. And my wife was like, your dad was in the military. And, like, my kid looks at me and goes, what? And I'm like, yeah, I was in the Navy. And he just like, what? He's like, what? I don't understand. Like, so I had to, like, explain it to him and stuff. And I'm like, yeah. I was like, and then we explained to him, like, all of, his aunts and uncles on my my wife's side, all of them, like, sister-in-law, like, all the aunts and uncles, like, are all Navy as well. And we're like, they all serve too. And so he's just like, oh, okay, like, it just, like, you could see his little brain just, like, sitting there, just, like, all these little things popping. And it was just so funny because, yeah, like, kids, when they look at dads, they're just like, oh, like, you're a dad or whatever. And it's like, no, actually, like, I had a life before you came around, little one.
my name is not Dad. It's not Dad. I'm just gonna tell you, that's not who I am. But that's who I am.
Right. Yeah, it's who I am now. It's all good.
Right.
Yeah, the many lives. How many years are you out of service now?
Oh gosh, over a decade.
No, but still, I mean, it's a huge role in your life.
It was a huge time for sure, definitely. So, and there's a lot of dads like that, and a lot of stay-at-home dads who are former military. And I think I was talking with you guys and Sue when we first met, and it was just like, you'd be surprised the way that stay-at-home dad military guys get treated. Because it's usually not the same way when you meet somebody who's oh, I work at a factory or whatever. It's like, hey, like, I stay home, and they're like, why don't you have a job or whatever? And it's like, even just saying, like, well, I'm a disabled vet, like, it isn't not enough, like, for some people. And it's really sad. Yeah, it is crazy.
That is crazy.
Well, see, that's what's so great about this your organization. I think it changes the conversation. I think it's a conversation that helps everybody. We all feel more confident in our own skins, but everybody else starts to get more committed to it and comfortable with it. And so it's just I think it's good for everybody, frankly.
Yeah, definitely.
In a lot of ways, it's opening a door, which I've found has been the biggest thing. And I come back to this a lot, and I maybe even said it before to you guys, but the reality of it is most of the things that we won't change, we just need somebody to open the door. If one person says, this is okay, I'm a stay-at-home dad, I'm a homemaker, that's what I am. Now, you want to talk about what manhood means to you? Do you want to talk about, you want to go throw axes? You want to do some blacksmithing? I got you, man. Let's go, but I'm a homemaker. That's what I do. And it was very hard for me to say that the first time. Right. But once you do it, and once you were around other dads who are active, who are involved, who love their kids, even if they're working full time, but they're there for the ball games, or they're there for the plays, or they're there for the art project help, or whatever it is, having that dad that's in your community, and you look and say, wow, Bob's at every single soccer game, and he's involved. He's listening. He's yelling to his kids, encouraging and not trying to, just degrade them and whatever. But once you have one dad and then another, and it just kind of opens that door so that everybody's like, yeah, we used to be, again, 40, 50 years in a gold watch. That's where our life is. I'm going to stick with, I'm going to go to AT&T. I'm going to stay there for 45 years until I get my pension, get my gold watch, and then I'm retiring. And that's who we had to be, I feel, in the life of our country and the life of who we are as fathers. But we've moved out of that in so many ways. And so now we have the option, really, the ability to say, I love my kids. I love my wife. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. And being able to say, what are you doing Friday night? Oh, my kid's got to play. I'm going to go. They're the Beast and Beauty and the Beast or something. And it not be oh, I'm sorry. It's, oh, you're not a man anymore. Oh, no, I am a man, but I'm a dad. So yeah.
And I would add to that, like that there, and I think this is like sort of another, like sort of an undercurrent of the show, which is that, if you go out there and you go be the dad, then you're going to engage with your community. And then pretty quickly what you find yourself in is like a leadership position, like, and you're out there and you're doing things, and you're making things happen, but you're with the kids, and that, like, you're being a dad, but like in a very public way. That's, and one of the things, like, again, the collaboration with Adam has been like, I mean, I'm very grateful for it. In part, one of the things that's funny is that Adam's like a psychotic hockey dad. Like while we're making this, he was going on, he's like, yeah, dude, I'm in South Carolina. And I'm like, you're in South Carolina. And like, we're shooting in a week. But like, I was just like, maybe this sports thing, like maybe this is good. Like I became totally, over the course of production, that year in development production, I got really into sports, like being coach. I was like baseball coaching. And like all of a sudden now everyone's like to me, like, hey dude, put this in your next episode. Like, put this in your episode. Like, so all these dads are like, just like literally feeding me season 2.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Now season 2.
Well, before we get into that, real quick. So you touched on something else. So you mentioned like the whole idea of like dads wanting, trying to get involved, trying to kind of break through that barrier or whatever. And I was talking with Danny about this before you guys came on. Like Jason is sort of that guy. Like he's trying to like kind of break through and show that he's worthy to take on a leadership role of some kind. And for as much of as a goofy is in some ways, like he really wants to, like he's got the passion to want to do it. It's just he's got to prove to everybody and really overcome the huge hurdle and for lack of better terms, like break the seal, break the glass ceiling on it for that type of situation. And I think a lot of dads can definitely like feel that, and just when they go to school and like they're the only dad there and they're trying to prove that they can be leaned upon and trusted on to do things and stuff like that. And we've talked about this on the show before. That's something that like I've spent a lot of time at my kids' school doing, to the point where I have teachers now that don't even ask the janitor or look for the janitor. They just look to me and they're like, Brock, you know where this is at? And I'm like, yeah. And like, I go get it and bring it back. Like they just know that they can trust me to like get things done.
That's awesome. But
it's taken multiple years of doing that and really just being there. And, you mentioned like the guys that, for baseball and stuff, like that's the kind of things I also get involved in, or like the instructional basketball and baseball and, all those kind of fun things where you work with the kids, you get to know the parents a little bit. And it's very interesting how like these different teachers see like, oh, like he's active, like he's going to be around, like I can ask him to do something and not feel not feel scared. Like, hey, would you want to do this? It's more like, hey, I need you to do this. I'm like, all right, great, I'm there. Like that kind of thing. So
and what you just described, Brock, is progress. I mean, that's how it happens. You have to you acclimate people to this new reality, one person at a time, sort of doing things that maybe a lot of people aren't used to seeing them. And it reminded me, like in the hockey subculture, which Tom is right, like I'm completely trapped in this beautiful way.
Totally trapped.
Whenever, like oftentimes the manager of the team will be a dad, often, but you call them team mom, and it's this interesting paradox, that you're and what's cool about that is you're sort of embracing and winking at the stereotype, right? You're doing what always were considered mom things, like being supportive and informational and taking care of hotel reservations and doing all these things, but you're a man doing it, and it's sort of like again, it's funny, but it's shattering the stereotype at the same time.
I don't know that Gordon Bombay would like being called. I just gonna put that out there. I don't think he would like that.
Well,
that was a hockey reference, but I didn't get it.
progress is slow, you know.
Mighty Ducks, man. Mighty
I'm with
Ducks.
you, Thomas. I'm with you.
But you know, that's what you have to do, and that's where art. I mean, that's like Frank. You know, that's what TV shows and movies and great, you know,
Yes.
entertaining things can do. They kind of, to use your phrase, Danny, they kind of help open the door, and then they make you laugh, they make you smile, they make you feel something, and you know, over time, you're like, yeah, that's all totally normal and cool, and it's you're no longer the exception. It's at-home dads become, you know, completely accepted in mainstream and all those things.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
All right,
I
so
mean,
Danny,
it's-
you were go ahead, and I want you to figure out how to get back into the season 2 conversation. But go ahead and say
Well,
what you were
I know
saying.
how to do it. I know how to do it because this is how I do. This is how I do everything in life. Guys, is there going to be a season 2?
I mean, so here's the first thing I want to say is that, like, yeah, we do all this dad stuff, but literally season 2 could write itself instantly. I mean, you know, we've been working, we're thinking about it all the time. It's time in our talk. You know, I think that we're not done delivering this baby, you know, I mean, like basically, you know, and you know, getting people to watch the show, to subscribe, to, you know, getting those views, you know, that's a job. That's a job right now that we're doing, and getting the word out there. There's a lot of stuff to watch, you know, there's a lot of stuff you could listen to, but, you know, when we used to say to the sponsors, I think it's important, which is like, you know, you can't, like, not everybody can have a favorite show, but not everybody gets to be a part of making one. And I think, you know, especially at this point in time in the life cycle of the show, it's like every new viewer is a treasured, like, contributor to the show. Like, you know, like every time somebody says, you know, comments, you know, or we meet guys like you, and it's just like, yeah, like, because I think that really what the issue is, like Adam was saying, is just like, you know, I think we're on to something here about making interesting observations about the world, but delivering it through humor.
Yeah.
And I mean, man, it wouldn't take me but a couple of days.
I was just thinking that season 2 was going
glad.
to involve like Adam, Tyler, and Jason, Tyler, and Howard going on a little road trip to Home Dad Con. That's what I was.
Well, we absolutely,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
absolutely. we
Sorry, I am
absolutely
a
talked
shameless
about that.
plug guy. I just put it in there, man.
No,
But that's
you're-
so easy.
No, Brock, you're totally right. We've had that conversation because
We have.
it's such a natural climax to a season 2. You know that they
And who doesn't like the climax? Come on.
exactly.
Could it just be a flyer that just like comes through Turf Valley and like you just get like stuck in like, you know, like Jason's face and he's like, or Adam's face. And you're like, what is this? He's like, Jason's like, what is this thing? He pulls it off. He's like, Home Dad Con. What?
Well, we even thought we'll get one of you guys to, you know, we had this made us laugh, like you know, a seasoned stay-at-home dad, like who's so at one, he's reached a state of nirvana with his identity that he actually levitates like David
Yoda.
Blaine. like and he's on the corner and the guys are sort of mesmerized, and you know they spread the evangel of Phoenix.
Nice.
I just want to see Danny in cross-legged position on like a rug, like coming in like that.
Crisscross applesauce, man.
Crisscross
You kidding?
It's
Yeah.
Indian style. No. But Tom,
Crisscross applesauce.
Well,
So the truth-
okay, so because your kids may not get this, but they don't call it Indian style.
They
anymore.
don't call it that anymore.
They,
No.
they call it
that's right,
crisscross
that's right,
applesauce,
that's
and the only reason I know is because this is all I know anymore. Help me.
Yeah.
We had to explain that to my kids actually just a couple of days ago because they're like, "What's Indian
Yeah.
style?"
Yeah, and it's so almost painful because okay, I'm glad they made the change. I am glad that's a good change,
It's a great change.
but it hurts me because it's one more thing that I grew up with that they're like, nah, we're not gonna do that anymore, and I'm like, oh, but
What?
I'm gonna say it. Okay, fine. You know, yeah.
you know,
and-
can you still
you get
say
what you-
Greek Dodge? Remember Greek Dodge?
Oh, I don't know what that one is. I don't
Well,
know that
it
one.
was Dodge, but it was just sort of a certain. There were certain rules, and I don't know whether they had their roots in anything having to do with Greece, but it was.
all right,
It was,
Adam.
it was Baltimore Greek.
How old are you?
Me double nickel, 55.
Okay.
Okay. All right,
He's close
all
to
right.
you,
Well, then
Danny.
that's not it. Yeah.
How do you
but
know? You don't know that one, huh? It must be a
Well, that's
regional
what I was
thing.
thinking,
Maybe it's
is
a
maybe
maybe it's
you're-
a regional thing. I
Maybe
don't
it's-
know.
It
Could
probably
be,
is.
Palmer
could be
thing.
a Maryland thing. Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff you say in Maryland that we would never say in Georgia, which is where I grew up. And like
That is for
you know,
certain. But
we
don't you
should
put
read a
salt on
book
your
or-
watermelon or something?
Oh yeah, Danny, do you put salt on your watermelon in Georgia?
What?
Is that because I had a friend from Georgia.
No,
who's like,
wait.
"Oh, Nick, don't you salt your watermelon? Of course you salt your watermelon. That's what everybody does. No. it's not a thing.
No?
No.
Nope, that's a no.
All right, just
Yeah, that
offended
really
everybody from
pulls-
Georgia.
That really rips the paper off the crayon for me. That's not
It's all good.
acceptable.
It's all good.
It
So
was-
so season 2 is sort of, we'll say, in the works. It's being
Yeah,
kind of
you-
put together.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reality, we can talk about money, like, right? So every episode, I mean, we produce them at a really high level. We were really interested in making something that looked like a TV show.
Well, obviously,
Yeah,
you're putting them
and
at a
you
high
did.
level. You got 12 stinking awards from different festivals all over the world, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's
You
awesome.
did very well.
Yeah, and thank you. And
Thank you very much.
So it's basically comes down to like every other Hollywood television producer or film producer. You're raising money all the time. But the good news was that the first season, as it's been getting out there, we've had other small businesses who helped finance the first season. We've had people saying, "Hey, we'd love to help out." So I think we have enough. We have enough for episode 8, basically.
Hey.
And so our decision point will be: are we going to try to make a whole season at once, or will we make one episode at a time as the money rolls in? But in terms of story ideas, yeah, I mean, it's just
Yeah.
like a bounty of ideas, and every time we talk to guys who've gone through this, we just get more ideas.
Yeah, it's
What-
an open field, really. I mean, there's just so much, because COVID really pushed up the numbers of at-home dads. I mean, even guys that were working from home, but then they were the primary person that was taking care of the kids, taking care of the family, dishes, all that stuff. And the numbers, even that we've just seen in our organization, have been just really going up and up. We've had a lot of new members in the last couple of years. So it's really a great place to do it. And then also to keep doing things like putting a message in it, and like you said, when you're creating, maybe you don't know what that message is going to end up being. You're just kind of listening to the muse and doing what you do. But then at the end of it, you're like, oh, wow. Yeah, this is the older dad that lives down the street. That's the mentor. And yeah, he played a little ball, but he also has everything about being a dad and a husband.
Yeah.
He's got it.
He
doesn't
became a
have-
librarian, right? He
Right.
became
You
a
know, which is a
librarian.
librarian.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that was
do-
beautiful too.
I
Go
do
ahead,
want
Rob.
to point out one thing though too. Like, so I know we talked about Meredith and we've talked about some of the other characters, but I really do like the fact that you have 3 different breadwinning mamas in the show who all have very interesting background stories. I feel like Sheila is probably a little bit closer to maybe Danny and I's wives, just in the fashion of like we walk in and she's like, "Go
Making
away,
the
I'm
deal.
having a conversation right
Making
now."
the deal.
Like,
Yeah. Oh, see, I thought it was because
my wife and I,
suit.
no,
Oh,
mine
the
is like
suit.
so my wife and I share an office together, and there are times where like I'll be just listening in on her conversations, and she's like, "Go away," like this, like, and I
I'm
just want to
working.
comment. She's like
Yeah.
pushing me away. Yeah, exactly. But my other thing was, and I think I mean it's very interesting, like the character for Rose being someone who's like trying to become an astronaut and everything there, but it's also she's separated from her husband, and there's quite a few dads actually that are in a situation like that where they've separated from their wives and how they balance their life or whatever. And it's interesting, like, kind of see like for anybody who hasn't watch all the episodes, go all the way, make sure you get to the end, because you'll want to see like kind of the end of the season. I thought it was interesting kind of how that sort of all played out. And I'm like, okay, like, so what is gonna happen with Tyler and Rose? Like, what, season 2, like, how does that play out?
Mhm.
Because the
They left
line
for the
that she
moon.
says to him near the end there about
going to
him being
Mars.
a science experiment or something like, or, yeah, but it's like, but it's something like, I signed you up to be an experiment or something like that.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty funny. I was
You
like,
can
yeah,
go
that's
with me,
exactly
sweetie.
how a wife would get you on something like that. You're a science experiment. As a science experiment. I
Yeah.
might test you, poke you around a bit.
Yeah, because I think
But
it's
yeah.
I mean the Artemis
So
program is
anyway,
like
yeah.
sorry, apologize. But
Go ahead, Thomas.
the Artemis program is like, yeah, it's a program for getting women on Mars, on moon. I mean, excuse me, on the moon. And so, yeah, you know, I think that there's a sense of like, yeah, you know, women are in these roles. And by the way, you know, I don't think it's any easier for them, quite frankly. You know, it's like these same conundrums are popping up, you know, and I think that that's kind of what we're also trying to show in this.
Yeah,
Oh
the
yeah, definitely.
The actresses we hired they're so great, but they had that same reaction. They were like, they appreciated that we weren't trying to make them perfect. They have these great careers and we're sort of in awe of them, but they're also, you know, they got all these funny flaws and they're, you know, and so I think that we sort of discovered that along the way, that you really can't fully tell the at-home dad story without them, you know, and
100%.
Right. And I
and so-
appreciate that too. Like, that's the thing. Like, I mean, our wives, like, we talk about them all the time on the show. We've had them on the show actually with us
Great.
to talk
Great.
to, you know, other dads about just like how to, you know, how to be on the same page with your spouse that's the breadwinner in the family. But I love the fact that all three of these ladies have these very interesting, quirky characters, just like their husbands, who are also very quirky at the same time. And you get to see just sort of how it all plays out. And, you know, you find out that honestly, like, Jason's wife is not too much different than he is, honestly, when it comes to wanting to hang out and, you know, really just like cut loose and stuff like that. So I thought, you know, just things like that are really neat to see, because, like, yeah, a lot of times we don't actually get to meet our friends' wives and stuff. Like, you know, we do a dad lounge hangout, like a Zoom hangout, twice a week. And, you know, occasionally you might get to maybe see one of their you know, see their spouse come through or something like that. My wife is one, she's like a WWE wrestling person. Like, she's got to run in every single time where she's got to be while she's talking to all the guys and stuff. But I love the
Right.
fact,
I was
but it's
picturing a folding
but it's just
chair.
one of those things. It's like you get to meet each other. Well,
Yeah, and they're hot for each
sometimes,
other,
Danny,
too.
you know, sometimes that might be the case. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we like
So,
and
but it's
that's-
just good to see. And I wanted to
Yeah.
bring that into play because, yeah, I just wanted to bring that into play because I feel like I don't want this to think that, like, oh, this is just a show for just stay-at-home dads to see. Like, there's a lot of content in here
Thank
for the breadwinning mamas to also see what's going on.
Yeah, it's, you know, and no children. That's the irony. It was we Tom and I were committed at the beginning to write a show about dadding and parenting, but somehow, and the best explanation we came up with is it's sort of like the inverse of Peanuts, like
That's great.
Oh,
you know,
nice.
like, you know how
Yeah.
in like Charles Schultz, you're seeing the
I like
kids,
that.
and you know that the kids, the parents are there, but you don't really occasionally hear that funny voice or whatever. But here, you know, the children are present, and they poke in every once in a while, like with our, we'll tell that story too, Danny, but the baby story, but that it's, you can feel their presence, but they're not, you know, that's not really the focus of the story. You know, it's about
Yeah.
all these other interesting things, community.
Well, and it does speak to being a person beyond being the at-home parent,
That's right.
Mhm.
having your own thoughts, having your own, you know, desires, wishes, wants, and whatever things that in the sacrifices really that you have to make as a parent are there. Yeah, that you're never going to get around that. But the reality of it is, yeah, like we said earlier, okay, I'm at the bus stop. Please, somebody talk to me. I don't care about
Right.
what. Can we
Right.
talk about
Yeah.
anything? You want to talk about animal husbandry? I don't care. We want to go to Mars. Let's talk about Mars. Let's talk about, I don't care.
I'll tell you what you're not going to
Let's-
talk about. You're not going to talk about your kids.
Yeah.
I mean, you might actually. It's not true. You might.
I
You
would,
might.
yeah.
No,
Yeah,
you might. But
yeah.
you know, you might
Yeah.
not. I mean, it's just so ubiquitous. It is so
Mhm.
all around you. It's like, you know, we don't talk about oxygen all that much. You know, I mean,
Right.
unless it's not there. You know,
Right.
like
Yeah.
so, like
Yeah,
you know.
right. Yeah.
So
Yeah, let's chase something together, and I think that's that was what was interesting to us, and I think that's what came out. But to talk about that, there are a couple of kids in the story, and in one scene we needed to have a baby, and this is true. And so the funny thing about this is our production designer was like 20 years old. We involved a lot of high school students and college students. Mentorship is very important to us. And so we had a lot of, I teach at Johns Hopkins University and Tom at Baltimore School for the Arts. So we had a lot of young people working and learning, which is how I came up in the business too. And so I think, we sent Aiden, remember Aiden, who's 20, off to get, we were pretty specific. We were like, we want one of those, really realistic babies that you can, we gave and we were like, spend some money, go to Target. They're probably going to be at a good Target, Walmart. And I think the reason he came back with something about the size of a loafer was because he just was not experienced in the world of infants. In
how
his
big
mind,
is a baby?
That was big enough.
Yeah, he literally. I think that's when he came back. He was like, I just, I don't even know.
Was it always, or was it that, or was it something like I can kind of hide this as I take it up to the cashier and do self-checkout because I just need to get out of here as a 20-year-old?
We're never gonna
excuse me, sir.
No receipt.
But in my mind, he was going to bring back one of those super realistic, big, right? You see those, right? But I think it was very, but it was telling because I think, hey, he hasn't had that experience yet.
That's
so
good. It's
like, I feel like that's like sending that dad who's just awkward to go buy like feminine hygiene products for the first time for his daughter. And he's like, what can I get? And just hide type of deal. But you should get a hold of Target or wherever and be like, can we just see the video of the kid who bought the baby? We just want to see, did he like buy it and run out of the store? Like what happened there?
Was he wearing a hood just so nobody would see his face?
I'm buying a doll.
Well, I think it works really well too in the scene that he's there, because the first time you hold your kid, for me, I've got 4 kids and everyone is exactly the same. You were so small. Right. You are so, and I feel like, and I'm not that big, but I feel like and my kids were big, but they still felt like, wow, this is such a tiny, tiny little thing. And him carrying that tiny little bundle really kind of looks more natural than I think we might realize I think any dad will know.
He's a dad. Bill's a dad.
Baby. But yeah, he's got that little, I got him. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's great. So,
Phil's a dad of young people. I mean, he knows young kids. He knows what that's about. I mean, he was
cool,
very much like all the guys were, and almost the vast majority of the people who work with us or so forth, they're all family people basically. It's which is nice because honestly, we're on meetings all the time, and I'm like, I gotta go.
Yeah,
sorry, pick up disaster.
Yeah, someone's throwing up. I guess I gotta go.
Yeah. Bye.
Well, there was one time actually we were getting ready to start a show and I was like, hey, by the way, I gotta go. I gotta take my daughter to the emergency room right now. I was like, you and the guest have a great time. See you later.
Right. Yeah. Take care of this. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. That's right.
Been there, done that for sure. Definitely.
And I really wouldn't have it any other way. Honestly, I don't ever want to be in a situation ever again where like that isn't my first job. Like I really just don't, like I know that things like kids are going to get older and things are going to go, they're going to change and everything. And hopefully Adam and I will make a billion more seasons of Turf Valley. But I know that like I always wanted to be kind of family first.
Right.
It's just like, what else are we talking about here? Like it's the most important thing.
Right. That's great.
So we're coming up against the wall on time. I wanted to ask a couple of interesting questions for you guys. So one, it is true. You guys are sponsors for Home Dad. You guys have signed on to be part of the sponsorship for Home Dad Con, which thank you so much. I'm super excited to have you guys a part of that. And then with that, like, are you two coming to the convention, or are you sending Howard, Jason, or Tyler with the who's coming? Like, because you guys got a couple of tickets, right?
Because
isn't there a
Tom,
couple
you and I are going to hug.
Like
I don't know if you know this. I don't know if you can tell this already, but we're going to hug. You know this. It's coming because it's Well, anyway, are you guys coming?
Yeah. What's the plans? What's the plans for that?
Well, I think if I can, I mean, Tom and I've had talks offline about this. If we can thread the needle, one of us is going to really try to be there to give those hugs. And I know for next year, there's absolutely some talk about, hope, God willing, we'll get to come and maybe screen and screen the show, do a panel. Sort of really make it an event.
That would be epic.
And I even heard a rumor that they're even thinking about our neck of the woods for the next convention, conceivably. So we'll see what happens.
There is absolutely nothing I can say about that.
I have no recollection.
I can either confirm or deny.
And to anybody that hears this,
All right.
I do not know where we're going, and I will not know until we announce it on the last day of the convention.
Yeah.
Don't ask me, because I'm really bad at keeping secrets.
Adam is trying to get us in trouble right now.
Oh God, I feel terrible. All right, well you'll clip that out.
Don't get me in trouble either.
No, it's okay.
No,
Okay.
Clip.
You just
Yeah,
get
I
all
gotta
the you just
stop
get all the
talking.
guy you just get all the listeners all like kind of we'll just start getting all kinds
Wow.
of messages from
Just-
them for
yeah.
sure.
According to Carl and Doug.
All right, snip snip. But I got to tell you, I was so tickled to death that you guys have a convention. That's so awesome, And I remember it got our attention fast. I'm like, this is an organization that is really putting some good into the world, and so one of us is going to try to be there for at least one day, but we're absolutely committed to next year's. Hopefully, we'll bring season 1 and some more episodes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be awesome.
And talk
that's
about
cool.
it, and
I just meet some more dads. I mean,
and
I
meet
think
some more
that,
dads.
I mean, listen, I think that's I didn't really as I've come to get to know your network, like it is so important to be with other people doing the work that you're doing. Like that is absolutely clear to me. The other day, the guy who I hang out with, my buddy, we used to drink and have great old times, and now he's at home dad full time, and I was teaching my son how to swim a little bit, and he was like, "No, do it this way." And I was like, oh, whoa, that was a little better. It was way better. He was swimming faster. You need to be with people doing the work that you're doing.
Yeah.
That's crucial. All
the little tips and tricks. It's just amazing. I mean, especially because I've been doing it for a while. So people are like, oh, I know how to do that. And like, oh, that's amazing. I'm like, no. I didn't learn that on my own. Another dad came up to me and went,
that's right.
What are you doing? Would you stop that? Why don't you just tell your kid, how about we go over here or whatever? And just the tiny little things at the playground and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, I've been doing this so stupid for so long.
How many dads said, dude, relax.
Right.
To
Yeah,
me.
just
Right,
breathe.
no
Just breathe. You'll be okay.
Well, and
Right.
if you think about it, I suspect, from an anthropological perspective,
Mhm.
100,000 years ago, it wasn't like the dad went off for 10 hours a day. That
Right.
mythology can't be correct. It doesn't make any sense. It seems much more likely that dads were around a lot more. And they were teaching things, and they were guiding, and they were, this weird sort of, relatively, modern notion of this is what the dad's got to do seems like
Mhm.
maybe just a blip. Maybe we're all heading back in the right direction.
I think so. Absolutely. We've actually had a anthropologist at the convention, and she wrote a book, and Dr. Anna Machenbrook, and she was talking about basically that's where we're headed, whereas I'm not going to go into it, but it's that kind of thing. And in the same way as really the dad needs to be in the house, the dad needs to be involved. That links back to what Tom said a second ago about having your community.
Yeah,
Being a part of a dad's group or a men's group. We're built to be in a community. We may be apex predators, yes, absolutely, but we're herd animals. We really are. We're pack animals. We need the people around us to just not to get too, but iron sharpens iron, right?
Yep.
You're bouncing those things off of another person that can look at you and go, yeah, I know right where you are, but you need to get out of that spot, or you need to, why don't you pick up that rock, instead of trying to just push it or whatever. And that need is, and I feel is a part of who we are as human beings, like you said, and being a dad involved with my kids, that's natural to me.
Well, it's so funny you said that. The iron sharpens iron. I happen to catch Conan. Remember that movie back?
Oh yeah,
Conan.
Love Conan
was
the
on the other
Barbarian.
day. Yeah, that was on the other day. And there's this great scene where Conan's dad is talking to him about steel. Like, and you know what? It wasn't like at night after he got home from work. It was like the middle of the day, you know? Like, Conan's dad was there, man. It was an at-home
Nice.
day.
All that,
That
yep.
is so true.
It wasn't like a Saturday. It was like just another day, you know? The sun
Okay,
was
come
out.
on. Teach you about steel.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
All right,
we
guys,
know-
I've got 15 minutes. You're gonna learn about the riddle of steel. Is everybody ready?
You know, he took his time.
And I gotta go back to work.
And I would add just to what you were saying is that, and I think like the podcast, obviously, like, and this is actually not a plug. Like, thank goodness we live in the world where you have podcasts,
Mhm.
where like, I've listened to your podcast. I've heard you guys are like, warm, friendly voices in a time for people. I just like, listen, you don't have to be alone, but go to the
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. All right, so I got two fun kind of questions. One, Adam, behind you, I've been looking, and for anybody who's just listening to this, like, go on the YouTube and you'll see this. So you have a yellow paper behind you with Turf Valley, but it's got a couple other edit things, because like you only get to see like the letters, it seems like, but this seems like a extended version of your logo. Like, almost looks like a vinyl record album in a way. Like, is
That's right.
like Turf Valley, the
stroller.
band, the college band that
That's
never
right.
got signed or something. Like, what's the
me
story
check.
about that, man? That's really cool.
Well, yeah, and
That-
Thanks
there
for
is
asking that.
there is a story, and so we were working with a really talented artist, Emma Ayala, when we were first starting to write, and we wanted to come up with a logo, and she showed us like 5 or 6, and they were all really good, but then she's like, oh, I have this really weird one. I don't know how you're going to feel about it. And it was this stuff, right? These dads kind of on the wire, and we were like, oh my God, that's it. That's how you feel, right?
Yeah.
That's t-shirt worthy right there.
That's
man.
how- yeah.
That's what that is.
Well, and the website store is being built, and you'll be able to buy a t-shirt. with
I
it.
am a yellow.
Yeah. for
oh,
sure.
with that design on it.
with
Yeah.
that design on it and a mug.
Yes.
You'll be able to get a lot of that stuff. It's close to being up and
Oh,
ready. But
cool.
we if you guys are Hitchcock fans, this also reminded us of a lot of that graphic sensibility
Yeah.
by Saul Bass back in the
That's
day.
right.
Definitely.
Definitely. Yeah. I just kept seeing it in the background. I'm like, all right, eventually somehow I'm gonna ask, like, what's the deal with that
And there's a
picture
stroller.
back there? 'Cause I was
Even
curious.
even
That's what I
Reggie's
saw
up there.
first.
Yeah.
As soon as because it was blocking, your shoulder was blocking the stroller until you pull it up.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's right. Stroller
That's
up
right.
on the wire with you. Yeah, you go everywhere with your
It's all
baby.
there. It's
And
all
so,
there.
Yeah, it was
So,
a good
and-
example. It was a good example of how something visual can inspire something non-visual like dialogue. It just made
Mhm,
us feel
definitely.
a certain way.
Okay.
But anyway,
It's a great question.
And then Tom, do you have, is it Flat Top from Dick Tracy behind you in a picture?
No. This is a drawing from of Dylan Thomas, the poet.
Okay.
And this drawing is from March 16th, 18th, and 19th, 1966 at 8:30 p.m. At Bryn Mawr College.
That's very precise.
It's very precise. It's so like a buddy of mine's, I think, mom drew this, and he was like, I wherever I've lived, I brought this with me since
Cool.
college.
It's so cool looking. It's
Yeah.
really neat. Like, I was just like, I don't know who that is, but that's a really cool picture.
And like virtually nothing has survived anything like like the kids basically.
Yes.
Like basically everything that was ever precious in my house has been destroyed, but
Mhm.
I've managed to kind of keep this off to the side
Nice.
somehow.
You got one thing from college.
You
that's
get one
lasted. That's awesome, man. Oh gosh, you guys have been a hoot to talk to. Honestly, it's been great to get to just connect and talk about the show. Honestly, hopefully everybody who's been listening, they're excited to watch it because,
yeah.
my thing is like I'm just
www.turfvalleyshow.com.
yes, turfvalleyshow.com. I'll
And we
have it
should point
all
out
in the show
short
notes, trust
episodes,
me.
short episodes too, right, Brock?
They- oh yeah, very short episodes, 7-8 minutes. I think
in our
you're-
intro.
Oh, great, cool.
Just
Yeah,
knock
we
it
did. Yeah, we
out
did
in
talk
like
about
70
that.
minutes while we're doing laundry or whatever. Yeah.
That was the
Yeah.
intent.
So
And well
yeah,
done.
so-
You guys hit every target you were aiming at, as far as I'm concerned. Good work. Production value, talking about dads. Right? No, seriously. Yeah, you've done
With a lot of
everything
help.
you-
With a lot of help.
Sure,
It's all
sure.
good.
So it's
But
a lot
yeah,
of help.
we're definitely, like I said, we're excited that you guys are going to be a part of Home Dad Con, that there's a relationship that's being built that even goes honestly beyond just Home Dad Con. And, we're, as an organization, like Danny and I are both on the board. I know that we're all excited to be having these conversations and seeing where things go, and definitely cheering for you guys. Like, all right,
Absolutely.
like get
Thanks, brothers.
that, that Hulu, whatever it is, like Netflix, whatever it is, like series put together. I think that honestly, just what you guys have been putting out there fits a lot of those audiences. And you guys have put forth a very worthy and worthwhile watching, something to put the time into it, to, hey, I'm going to cut 15-30 minutes out of my day to watch these, and it's totally worth it.
Yeah.
Oh man,
It is.
that's
the
epic.
best, dude.
And by the way, if we may be so presumptuous, I mean, we would love anyone in your audience who has a story, who has something funny, something insightful. We read our emails, so you can go to the website. You can send us a story idea. You can give us feedback on an episode you've seen. That's like gold for us. So,
Rest in peace, your inbox.
You get a chance.
Your inbox is now marked.
Yeah, you're in trouble now, man. You just have a whole bunch of stay-at-home dads.
Dad joke every
You're
10
gonna hear from a
minutes.
lot of guys. You might get some good dad jokes too in there as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Which
All right,
cool.
all dad jokes are good.
That's right. That's right.
They are.
We could take it.
Well, awesome. Well, hey, Tom, Adam, thank you so much for coming on the show. It is, like I said, it's been a pleasure to talk with you guys, and I look forward to getting to meet you. Danny looks forward to getting to hug you.
What I do, I'm a hugger.
I'm down. I'm Italian.
And we're definitely looking forward to more episodes. So man, thanks so
brothers.
much, and
Well, guys.
hopefully we'll be able to connect later when season 2 comes out. So you guys have a good one.
Keep it up, guys.
Night, everybody.
Take care, guys.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.